Welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be discussing Google, the search engine, advertisement, and cloud juggernaut. A lot of people actually aren't aware, which has come across my attention the last few days. Google also owns YouTube. They purchased it back in 2006 for 1.6 billion. If you look back today, YouTube actually produces just over $9 billion in 2023 for Google. So if we think about it, it wasn't too bad of an investment. So right now we're looking at a 1 year chart on Google. I think Google is one of the safest investments you can make in the tech space. It has a very simple, straightforward business that produces revenue on a consistent basis that's able to grow and scale their business. So if you're looking for something safe in the tech space, this is one of the best companies to invest. Right now we're looking at the 1 year chart. You can see Google's up 27%. That's pretty good. Interest rates have been going up, which is usually not too favorable to tech companies, but Google's still producing. If we look at it over a 5 year period, it's up 178%, which is also good. As I've always said, the average in the stock market is 8 to 12%. You're getting 178% over a 5 year time period. It's not really something you can complain about. So let's get to the levels. So if we're looking at a 1 year chart, right now Google's at 165. If we're charting up where we think Google may go from here, let's first identify support levels. So you can see there's a clear support at 155. There's another clear support at that 171 level. There is another support at this 140 level, and there's another support at this 175 level. You can draw another one here. Yeah, I will put one at this 160 level. So when we're looking at Google right now, it's kind of in between this zone. It's hit this low after selling off just over under 20%, which is a healthy sell-off for any tech company. So it is making higher lows, which is a good sign if you're looking for a pattern. It's clearly making higher lows. So there's a low here, a low here, a low here. If Google could continue on this path, the first level you want to see is this 171. If it could continue and break up here, we can test this 176. And if it could continue, then we could see an all-time high. Now, that's just what we hope to see. It could reject off this 171 and continue down. As an investor, you don't want to be thinking of hope or what you want to happen. You want to think about what realistically can happen. So for a stock to go up or down, there has to be something that moves it, a catalyst. So when you're thinking about the market, you have heard Jerome Powell mention that the US is planning to cut rates in September. Now, the market is taking this as a good thing that rates are going to be dropped, but I'm actually going to be doing a video in a little bit explaining why this is actually a negative sign for the market and why you need to beware of what's about to come next. So let's take a deeper look at Google on a 5 year time frame and see the big drops. So actually, let's look at this from a 1 year perspective. If you zoom out, you could clearly see on a 1 year time frame, Google respects the 200-day moving average. It hits it here, it hits it here, it hits it here. It dropped below it in this section. It dropped below it in March COVID. It hit it here. It dropped below it here in 2022. It hit it here, and it actually hit it here. So what you want to do, as I explained in the Tesla video, at these points, you want to use them as accumulation. You want to be buying the stock when it's at this level, when it's here, or let me zoom back out to the 1 year chart. You want to be buying when it's at this level, falling below it. You want to be buying it right here. You want to be buying it right here. You want to be buying it right here. Google is a company that, as I've explained on Twitter, you can't really see the world operating without a company such as this, Amazon, Google, Apple. These are fundamental companies to the way our society operates. This is inherently part of the reason why Google is facing a lawsuit right now by the Department of Justice, but I'm going to get into that later in the video. But these are all buying opportunities. These are generational companies that you want to own and invest and hold long term. Google's a great company. It has tons of data. Data is what's driving society. Now, when you buy an iPhone, or if you notice in the last few updates, it asks you, do you want this app to track your phone? That's a reason. Apple's trying to block companies like Meta, Google from tracking what you click on, what you view, how long you're on that site to show you other ads and products that you may be interested in. It's a privacy thing. Everything in this world now is about data and what information do you have access to. Some people argue that Google may know you better than you know itself, because if you have a question, you type it in on Google. You want to know something about your health, you type it in on Google. Anything that you think about or want to know, you Google. Google has become a verb essentially. That's how you know it's a company that sticks when everybody knows it from young to old and uses it. That's why Google is one of my favorite companies. So one of the issues Google's actually come across in the last few years is actually a lawsuit by the Department of Justice. They're essentially accusing Google of being a monopoly, saying that it's cemented its dominance in part by paying companies like Apple, Samsung billions of dollars to have Google as the mandatory search engines on smartphones, computers. So this is more of a competitive thing. The Department of Justice is essentially supposed to keep it a fair playing field so other smaller companies have the ability to enter the marketplace and also have a chance to share their products. But what the issue is that a lot of these large tech companies like Amazon, Apple, Google, Meta, as soon as a company comes in its space that somewhat threatens it or could take away from its market share, a lot of times these companies just buy them out completely. If you're a startup company, maybe you're making millions of dollars, $2 million, $3 million in revenue, maybe even you're making a billion. A company like Google, Amazon, Apple, they recognize that. They're going to pay you 10 times your business just to get you out the way. That's capitalism. That's how it works. The Department of Justice is saying that no, you can't just essentially bully companies out the way because you create a dominance in the marketplace where there is no other option. Some people say that's capitalism. That's how it's supposed to work. If a company is able to become dominant and use its resources to continue its dominance, that's in their power. So it depends on what coin you fall. Either way, as an investor, this is something you want to think about for Google stock because, yes, if let's say Google does lose the case, there's a chance the Department of Justice could say they can't be the mandatory search engine for smartphones or they can't be paying in that sense. Or let's say they have to break up the search engine company from Google, essentially making Google's search engine business a totally separate company. So things like this happen is something to think about. I do still believe Google's a great long-term investment either way this plays out, but this will have an effect on the stock price down the road if it does fall through that it has to separate. But big tech in general, this is a big exclamation mark that all investors want to pay attention because if the Department of Justice begins to come after these mega cap companies like Google, all of them are going to be facing the same scrutiny. Some people argue that Apple, Amazon have monopolies over their respective fields. So it's all about what you can prove in court. So let's see how it plays out. But I believe in Google. I think it's one of the best companies to hold long term. But let me know what stock you want me to review next. Thank you for watching. And as always, like, comment, subscribe, share. Thanks.